Buddy reads are go. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is all about letting you know my Discord is live. That's right, there is a link down in the description bar below. You can click on it and get invited to the Fictional Escapist or A Fictional Escapist Discord server. Now I will let you know that link is live for 7 days, and each week there will be a new link. The reason for this is I've seen some lovely people get done in by some nasties on the internet because they've had their link not expire. So I will be putting up new links each and every week. That may be an answer to if you've clicked it and it hasn't gone through for any reason. You may just need to find a new link, but fear not, they will be in the description bar for every video going forward. The idea behind the Discord was it was my 250 subscriber goal was to open one up and let's do some buddy reads together essentially. I have created it so that people can jump in and talk about their passions. We've got gaming, we've got TV and movies, and we also of course have books in there. I will be completely transparent with you. I'm not on there every day, but I hope that it is a place where you can all talk to each other and maybe make some new bookish, gaming or TV loving friends to talk to about your passions. The reason that I really wanted to have a Discord was of course to buddy read. I've done some buddy reads before over on other Discords. They're a lot of fun. Just being able to talk about what you're reading with other people is such a lovely experience. Now on this list today I've got 12 series that I would like to read with some of you lovely people here on this channel, and they range in a number of categories. Before we jump into that though, I'm going to do a trial buddy read before we hit 2023, and that is going to be the Book of Words by J.B. Jones. This is a trilogy. My copies are a little beat up, but it starts with Baker's Boy. We then move on to A Man Betrayed, and we finish off with Master and Fool. So these books have been on my radar for a little while now. I picked these all up at a secondhand book festival, which is why they're a little battered, but sometimes reading a secondhand book is really lovely because they've been pre-loved, right? And I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. If you're not sure of what the Book of Words is all about, I will read the back of book number 1. At vast Castle Harville, where King Leketh lies dying, two fates collide. In her regal suite, young Meleandra, the daughter of an influential lord, rebels against her forced betrothal to the sinister Prince Kyloch. In the kitchens, an apprentice named Jack is terrified by his sudden, uncontrolled power to work miracles. Together they flee the castle, stalked by a sorcerer who has connived for decades to control the crown, committing supernatural murder to advance his schemes. Meanwhile, a young knight begins a quest, leaving behind his home and family to seek out the treacherous Isles of Larn, where lies a clue to his desperate search for the truth. And a wondrous epic of darkness and beauty begins. It sounds like a classical fantasy. We've got a coming-of-age tale in there, and it just sounds like a good time. This one's going to be a bit of a trial one. A bit of a first go of the old buddy read. The idea is to do one per month, so we'll do Baker's Boy in November, A Man Betrayed in December, and then we'll finish off in January with Master and Fool. So my aim is to basically do this in the last week of each month, so we'll do last week of November, last week of December, and last week of January to get that trilogy read, but of course you can read it at your own pace. The other series that I'll mention before I jump into the official list is I'm gearing up for a Wars of Light and Shadow buddy read. This is a 10-book series with I believe the 11th and final book coming out next year, or it's a 9-book series and the 10th one is coming out next year. Someone correct me down in the comments please. But this one starts with Cursed of the Mistwraith by Janny Wirtz. This can be an intimidating series for people because it is quite large. It gets compared to the Malazan series a lot for density and the fact that it's non-linear. It's a non-linear story, but I really love Janny Wirtz's writing and I'm looking forward to jumping into this series. But don't worry, here in the official list there is a bit of a gear up before we start that one. Now this one will be announced likely in the middle of 2023 once my move to Perth has been completed, and the idea is this will be the first buddy read which get things like dedicated video reviews for each book that are completely spoilery I don't know whether live shows are going to be a thing because I've never done one before, but I'm open to it all, doing a massive channel-wide buddy read of that series because the last book is coming out in 2023. I've got 12 series on this list that I would like to buddy read over the next couple of years, and I'd like you just to jump in and tell me if there's anything you would be interested in, or of course, click that Discord button, get invited to that server, and tell me over there. There are 4 categories. We have got indie/self-published fantasy, we've got backlist fantasy, which are some older books that I've been meaning to get to for a while, we've got sci-fi, and we also have historical fiction, because yeah, I like historical fiction and I'd love to read more of it with some of you people out there. Jumping into the indie fantasy, this is the longest series that I have on the list, and this is The Record of the Sentinel Seer by M.H. Woodscourt. This is a 5-book series that are all relatively short, coming in at about 300 to 400 pages, and this is an epic sci-fantasy, so I guess it does blur the line a little bit. For those who are interested, the back says, raised by ghosts, trained by gods, how far will he go to save those who betrayed him? Abandoned in the wilderness as a child, Lecour lives with ghosts and fallen gods. Everything changes when he summons fire to rescue a travelling princess and her entourage. Wounded, he's brought to a civilization unlike anything he's ever known. Caught in a net of silk and secrets, Lecour finds himself ensnared by court intrigue, midnight assassins, and a deviant faction of the Church of the Sun Gods, all hunting his blood and power. He just wants to find the man who deserted him, until a storm rises out of the north, furious enough to destroy the city and outlying lands. Now Lecour must find the source of its wrath, deep in the wilds of the deadly lands beyond, if only he can flee a city that won't let him escape. M.H. Woodscourt has been on my radar for a little while. They also have a historical fantasy duology out that I'm interested in, but this whole series, the covers are all gorgeous in a different cover, and it just completed in 2023. So we have a nice completed series to potentially read together. The next 2 series I don't have physical copies of, and one is because I don't believe physical copies are being sold anymore, and that is A Pattern of Shadow and Light by Melissa McPhail. Now, I will preface this by saying this is also a series that has 5 books out. It was a 7-book plan series, but unfortunately the author passed away earlier in 2022, and we're not sure what's going to happen with those last 2 books. I have, however, heard that these are brilliant novels and they are well worth a read, even if the series is not completed, even though it may make you want more. So I have purchased the first ebook, which is Sephiroth's Hand, and the blurb goes like this. All things are composed of patterns, and within the pattern of the realm of Alarin, 3 strands must cross. In Alarin, 300 years after the genocidal Adept Wars, the realm is dying, and the blessed Adept race dies with it. One man holds a secret to reverting this decline. Bjorn van Gelderen, a dangerous and enigmatic, I can't speak today, man whose shocking betrayal 3 centuries past earned him a traitor's brand. It is the Adept Vestral Reign Delacourt's mission to learn what Bjorn knows in the hope of salvaging his race, but fails to have to find him. In the kingdom of Dinham, young Prince Anne Valorian faces a tenuous future as the last living heir to the coveted Eagle throne. When his blood brother is slain during a failed assassination, Ian embarks on a desperate hunt for the man responsible. Yet his advisors have their own agenda, and his quest for vengeance leads him ever deeper into a sinuous plot masterminded by a mysterious and powerful man, the one they call the First Lord. In the Nadarite Desert, tormented by the missing pieces of his life, a soldier named Trell heads off to uncover the truth of his shadowed past. But when disaster places him in the debt of the wildlings sworn to the First Lord, Trell begins to suspect a deadlier, darker secret motivating them. It sounds really cool. I've heard very good things about this series, or at least the 5 books that are currently out, and if anyone wants to jump in and read these along with me, even for an uncompleted series, then you are more than welcome to. The last one in the indie/self-published scene is The Obsidian Path by Michael R. Fletcher. This is Blackstone Heart, She Dreams in Blood, and An End to Sorrow. This one's fairly well known. Michael R. Fletcher is a fairly well known self-published author, but the Obsidian Path blurb is a A broken man, Karen awakens alone and lost. His stone heart has been shattered, littered across the world. With each piece, he regains some small shard of the man he once was. He follows the trail, fragment by fragment, remembering his terrible past. There was a woman, there was a sword, there was an end to sorrow. Karen walks the obsidian path. I have had these books since they came out, at least in digital copy, and I've not read them. So I would like to get to them very soon, and if anyone else has not read them, then please by all means let me know and let's read them together. Category 2 is Backlist Fantasy. These are fantasy books that I've had for ages, or just older fantasy books that I really want to get to, and I would like to read them with someone. So the first one is The Dragon Riders of Pern. These are just the first 3 books that I've got here. So this is an omnibus edition that I picked up earlier this year, and this includes Dragonflight, Dragon Quest, and The White Dragon. I won't go too much into these ones because they are fairly well known. I will also say this is a rated E for everyone. It doesn't really matter what age group that you are. It's sort of approachable for multiple different age groups. If you are someone who wants to read this and has not picked it up yet, I am planning on doing a buddy read, at least for the first 3 books here, at some point in the future. So let me know if you are interested. The next one I have is the Dragonlance Chronicles, the first trilogy. This is Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, and Dragons of Spring Dawning. This is, of course, by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. This is a series that's ongoing. In fact, they brought out a new book in 2022, which was very exciting for the fans of the Dragonlance Chronicles. There are many, many, many books in this series, but this was the first trilogy. Now, I have read Dragons of Autumn Twilight a long, long time ago, and I've never continued on with the series. So I would like to reread the first book and then continue on with books 2 and 3. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know, as is the case with all of these. The last one on the Backlist Fantasy, and one gearing up for, this is one that is locked in stone for early 2023, because I do want to read these before we go on to the Wars of Light and Shadow by Jenny Wirtz, is The Cycle of Fire. So this is a separate series to the Wars of Light and Shadow. It's 3 books, they're not super long, and it starts off with Stormwarden, continues on with Keeper of the Keys, and then it finishes off with Shadowfane. So similar deal with all of these, is we'll be reading one a month should you choose. I believe I'm going to be starting this one in January and go January, February and March before we head on over to that big channel-wide series read. The next category we have is sci-fi. So I've got a couple of sci-fi books in here which may not be to everyone's taste, but they are ones that I'm interested in reading, so if you are, let me know. The first one is the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. I know a lot of us have probably watched Annihilation, but I've never read the book. I loved the movie. I thought it was creepy, I thought it was weird. It's a very environmental sci-fi, what happens when the plants fight back, and this is actually a trilogy, and I did not know that. So we have Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance. Annihilation says, "To all appearances, an abundant wilderness. The Southern Reach, a secretive government agency, has sent 11 expeditions to investigate Area X. One has ended in mass suicide, another in a hail of gunfire, the 11th in a fatal cancer epidemic. Now 4 women embark on the 12th expedition into the unknown." It sounds wild, it sounds weird, and I am here for it. So I really do want to read this, probably in 2023. The next one that I have is Parable by Octavia E. Butler. This is a duology with Parable of the Sower and then Parable of the Talents. The Parable of the Sower says, "We are coming apart. We're a rope breaking a single strand at a time. America is a place of chaos where violence rules and only the rich and powerful are safe. Lauren Olamina, a young woman with the extraordinary power to feel the pain of others as her own, records everything she sees of this broken world in her journal. Then, one terrible night, everything alters beyond recognition, and Lauren must make her voice heard for the sake of those she loves. Soon, her vision becomes reality, and her dreams of a better way to live gain the power to change humanity forever. All that you touch, you change, and all that you change, changes you." I've wanted to read Octavia E. Butler for some time now, and I know I'm not alone in wanting to read Octavia E. Butler's work and just not picking it up. So the time is now. I really would love to start with this author, off with this duology. The last one in the sci-fi section is another duology, and this is the Commonwealth Saga by Peter F. Hamilton, starting with Pandora's Star and Book 2, Judas Unchained. I have heard that this can be a little bit difficult. It is a space opera with a lot of heart. The characters are quite intriguing, and I'm someone who quite likes character work in sci-fi, but there is a whole lot of technical jargon that may go over your heads, but that's okay. I am enjoying my time with sci-fi more and more now that I'm training myself to be used to things like space operas. It still sometimes does go over my head, I'm not going to lie to you, but this is a favourite of a friend of mine, and I would really like to read it with him as well as some other people if you'd like to join. So the last category we have is historical fiction. The first one is fairly well known, and that is the Giles Cameron Lancelot and Camelot duology. So this is a different take on the Arthurian legend. Both books are beautiful, they're relatively short, and I'd love to give this a go with other people who may want to try a bit of historical fiction but haven't really branched out of fantasy a whole lot. So this is one that I am looking forward to reading, and like I said, it's duology, so we can knock that out in a couple of months. The next one I'd like to pick up, and I've been influenced by Alex over at Tall Guy Reads and Theo at Rekindled Reader, is the Cicero trilogy. This is by Robert Harris. I do have a copy of an omnibus on the way for this one, but it hasn't quite arrived yet. So this starts with Imperium, goes on to Conspirator, and finishes with Dictator. This is historical fiction, but it's also kind of like murder mystery, so I'm really looking forward to very approachable historical fiction because it's a genre that I'm enjoying, but I haven't read a great deal of it. I've read bits here and there, really enjoyed the heavy drama side of historical fiction, and I think that this series would be a good one to sort of, I guess, branch out a little bit in that genre. So would like to read that one at some point as well. And last but not least on this list is The Grail Quest by Bernard Cornwell. So I plan to read the Warlord Chronicles before jumping into this series to get a taste of Bernard Cornwell's writing, but this is a series that has caught my eye a few times now. This is the 14th century search for the Holy Grail around the time of the 100 Years' War. So there are currently 4 books in this series. I think it is pitched as a trilogy, but there's also a 4th book. So we have Harlequin, Vagabond, Heretic, and then 1356, which are all set in this series in this time period. So I would really enjoy reading that with somebody else, maybe someone who's read some Bernard Cornwell and can do some hand-holding along the way for some of us who need a bit of help, if that's the case. But I have heard that Cornwell's writing is very, very approachable for people who haven't read a whole lot of historical fiction. So those are 12 series I'd really like to read with some other people. Do any of these sound good to you? Please let me know in the comments down below, and we can start scheduling in some buddy reads. Jump along to the Discord, come and have a chat to some fellow nerds. We'd love to have you in there. And yeah, that's about it. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.